Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. Last episode, we set up this new area, the cargo hub, and currently we are riding on one of the new trucks that is using this drop-off area. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to step away from here, give this line some room to breathe, and establish itself as more trucks of stone come into the construction materials plant. Once that's done, we will come through and adjust the lines as needed, but while we wait for that, we're going to come back and do something that I mentioned a few videos ago, but we never really got to. First, we're going to attempt to redo the roads here. I think maybe we have a better way to help distribute the traffic, and then we're going to create that high-speed rail line that we talked about before. So essentially we'll get another set of tracks running alongside this one that will be reserved strictly for high-speed trains, pretty much any train that goes over 120 miles an hour, I think it is. So we'll have that set up, and we might also rework how trains come into here. We might end up adding a track that goes around the station so that trains can bypass Jackson if needed. So theoretically we could get a Birmingham to San Jose line connected by high-speed rail that doesn't have to stop at Jackson or go through the station here. So first I wanted to come in here and redo this area. This intersection caused us a huge traffic jam a few videos ago, and I think there's a way we can reduce this by probably just changing how this road curves. So I think we're going to extend this large road, continue it through this sort of center street here, and I think we can have it stop sort of at the same spot where this one does, but then we can rework the connections in this area, and hopefully that will be much smoother than what we had before. So first of all, let's pause, and then we're going to delete this road, and then we'll pull this one back probably to about where that bridge, the top of that bridge is, and then we will grab our extra large city street, which is I think what we're using here. We will drag this around in a curve, so something like that, and then we'll upgrade this road so we continue to have those bus lanes for our trams up until it turns here. So this should help sort of reinforce our bus and tram traffic by having this curve sort of be the main flow of traffic, and then we can come back, grab our large street, and then come from this bridge. We can come down a lot more smoothly now, so I think we'll hit the ground there, and then connect up to this road. So we'll have this connect like so, and then we can come back with our regular city streets, and I think just have a connection there. I don't think we have to do anything with this corner. Hopefully the city doesn't try to connect like this, but I think this should be fine. I believe that keeps our bus route pretty clean. I think the road that was here before didn't really do anything, but we can come back, add in our tram stops back where they were, so right about there, and I believe they are set correctly, and we should be able to let this run now. So one thing I immediately see that needs to be taken care of is this truck stop is blocking these trucks from leaving here, which is blocking our buses, so that is definitely something we don't want. Let's see if there's a way we can get this to and maybe not cause that problem. Perhaps we can have a road coming across this way, although that makes this segment of road pretty short. Maybe there's a way we can get this to curve around so that it keeps the length there. And we'll sort of have to be a little picky about the curve, but then we can get that across there. And hopefully we can still get our truck stop placed on this road sort of a little more out of the way, but still on a spot where it services most of what it needs to. Alright, so we'll have to keep a close eye on this area and sort of what goes on here, but I think we're okay to leave it. Hopefully our passenger numbers start to return back to normal, since half of our transportation was blocked by there. I think sometime soon we're going to bring resources into Scottsdale by truck from the cargo hub. That way we don't have so many trucks coming in and out of this area along with our buses, because pretty much along with all of our transportation, this road is also the main form of transportation from people in Jackson coming out to this highway. So anyone looking to leave the city is also taking either this large road or this road over here, and that just creates a bunch of vehicle traffic in this area, and that leads to many more possibilities of traffic jams. You can sort of see that over here, but I think this might just be because all of our vehicles are still spacing themselves out. So we'll take a look at this again later, and hopefully it's nothing too serious. But anyway, enough worrying about that. Let's get our high-speed tracks placed so that we can comfortably have a high-speed line running from San Jose to Jackson, and we don't have to worry about it being stopped by our slower trains. Okay, so I think it'll be best to start on the San Jose side of this line, and I think immediately we're sort of okay for the most part. We do have this little crossover, which might cause some issues, but I think we're okay to leave this until, or leave our split until after. So over here, we will split this into more tracks. However, just taking a look at this whole thing, we want to avoid as many crossovers and junctions on our high-speed tracks as much as possible. So maybe we will split off our tracks here, and then we'll raise it up on a bridge so it clears these tracks. We'll keep it raised up until it passes this crossing, and then it can come down and ride alongside these tracks. So I think that's what we're going to do. So we'll grab our tracks, and we'll try to cut over as far as we can, keep our speed as high as possible. And it is okay that we slow down since we are pretty close to the station here. So we'll build that, and then we can have this. Now I don't think we can be parallel to these tracks and raised up, so maybe we'll actually give ourselves a little bit of space while we do this. We'll just have to find where we can snap to this track. Okay, so we have our curve coming off here. We can try to do our best to line this up so that it doesn't have to curve too far. So I think right about here will be good. So actually I think we're going to scrap this whole idea again. I was just thinking, we only have our high-speed rail coming from San Jose to Jackson, and then our route coming out of Downey is actually even farther than San Jose, so we can turn this line into high-speed tracks so that at this point there's no need to have a separate set of tracks for high-speed trains, since San Jose and Downey will both have high-speed trains coming on this set of tracks. The only one that wouldn't have it is right here, but I think both of these intersections are close enough that on each end of the line, it wouldn't really impact the long run of those high-speed trains. The only part where we need to split over is actually right here where this junction meets. And what's interesting is I don't even think we need to have these lines connected, since all the trains going this way will be high speed and all the ones going this way are still our slower speed trains. So really there's no need for these two sets of tracks to cross over. We can have a crossover just in case in the future if we mix things up, but I think for now we don't have to do that. So we'll pull these tracks back so we can come in smoothly alongside these tracks. So we can now drag this, and hopefully we can find where it snaps to being parallel. So it looks like we get that right here. Yeah, so this looks good. We will confirm that, drag the other set of tracks along with it, and now all of these should be parallel with each other. So we will continue these tracks pretty much all the way until I think this corner we reach a bit of a hiccup. So when we get here, we'll come back and take a look at it. So now we're at this corner, and if we drag this track to follow along parallel, we can see it limits us to 138 miles an hour, and that's definitely not what we want. And I'm debating whether we sort of fix the whole curve, or if we just fix the high speed part of the curve. And honestly, I think maybe we could rework this whole section in here, as this curve as well gives us a speed limit. If we come in here closer, we'd get down to 154, which is a lot more bearable than 138. But these two curves together, especially since they're almost near the middle of the line, will really kill our top speed on some of our trains. So we'll pretty much delete this whole middle section. We'll come through, redesign it, and keep it pretty much as close to top speed as we can. I'm going to avoid doing any tunnels in here, as I don't want to completely destroy the landscape, but we will be careful about how we do this. Alright, so we're just barely able to get a set of tracks through here that stays up to the top speed of 186 miles an hour. Unfortunately, we did have to shave this corner pretty short, and it cut a little bit into this mountain, or this cliffside, so we'll come back and make this look nice. I do kind of like how this is sort of a closed off corner though, with the trees on this side, and then it comes out and opens up to the river and the road, and then follows along through here. And then once we come back up through here, we can figure out what we're going to do in this area. Alright, so we have this area all cleaned up now in terms of terrain. We can now continue on our journey back up to Jackson. And we left off right here before the tunnel entrance. And I think we'll bring it all the way up until here. And then as we come up here is where we're going to start to have to make some important decisions. So the sort of issue we have here is we want this set of tracks, we need it to merge into this set so it can come into Jackson. However, we also want this set of tracks to bypass Jackson and maybe sometime in the future connect it up to these tracks. So I'm thinking that maybe we have one set of tracks that follows up this way and comes up, follows into Jackson, and then right here we can just have a bigger cross. So we still have two sets of tracks coming in here, and that won't really limit anything besides maybe freeing up some trains on this single set before the station. And then over here, we could have some tracks split off and go underground as it bypasses Jackson. And then I'm not too sure where we'd have it pop up, but I don't think we're going to set up this part of it in this episode, so we could probably just leave the end sort of underground where we can come back and develop it sometime in the future. Okay, so we finally got this intersection figured out. It was a little weird because of the terrain changes and sort of parallel track stuff, but I think we got something that works. We can come back and make it look nice later on if we want to. Or I suppose we could just do that now, actually. We can probably just bring these tracks right along like so, and have them follow along parallel. So here we are. This should work now. We have our sort of main set of tracks coming up and into Jackson, and this all looks good. We will leave this set of tracks here. We'll drag those underground later. What we'll want to do is delete these tracks so we just get the ones that are coming straight out of the station for now. And so then we'll bring these over to connect to this set of tracks, like so. And then somewhere in here we're going to need to add the crossover between all four of these. And I don't think it should be too hard to add that. I think we just need to find a spot where they're all parallel with each other. And then if we get it shallow enough, we can add the slip switches for these middle two. Alright, so here we're able to do that. And then I think all we have to do is wherever it crosses over, click the intersection and switch it to a double slip switch. And we'll do this for all of them. I'm not sure if we necessarily have to, but just in case, to give the tracks options. I don't think that one needs to be one. But now this should function properly. And if we check our warnings, it looks like all of our lines have been sorted out and they can now get to their stations. We just have this train that doesn't have an electric path. I think it does, so maybe once we start this back up it will fix itself, or if we just turn it off and turn it back on while we're paused here. That didn't seem like it worked, but anyway, let's bring this set of tracks underground. I guess we'll have to bring it down just slightly to get the tunnel. We'll bring it down like so. So now we sort of have this high-speed track tunnel here right next to our other two cargo tracks. And if we come underground, it should pretty much just be as simple as bringing it across underground here. And it looks like even if we slope up just ever so slightly, we still won't make it back above ground. So that'll be an interesting thing to solve, but I think we'll just bring the tracks probably about to where the station is. If we really wanted to, we can get it to come above ground here, but I don't think that's necessary at all. So we'll just bring the tracks to about here. That leaves us with enough room where if we wanted to expand it in the future, we have the option to. I assume we'd have to rework everything in here, but that would then give us high-speed connections bypassing Jackson to all of the cities on this side of the map then. So then lastly, to finish up this high-speed rail system, let's get our signals back in. I suppose at this point we can let it play and see if we can fix this train. Or I suppose actually it got stuck on the wrong set of tracks, so maybe if we just do this, now it can find its way, and once it gets onto its set of tracks, we can delete this. So now that train's gone. We can delete this. And the last thing we have to do is put up our signals. So we'll get some signals right before our big switch here. And this should allow it so the trains can find whatever path is open. And I believe it should still allow for a bunch of trains to come through here at any time. We will have to, I guess, watch it and make sure of that, but I believe that's how this should work. If not, I suppose we can always add another set of signals here, and that would work out just fine as well. Alright, so we have all of our signals spaced out here, and everything should be functioning normally now. If we take a look at these trains, this one's still speeding up for some reason. This one is also still speeding up for some reason. And we have some of our other trains coming through here. I think a lot of it just might have been stopped and they're still accelerating. But now, if we come into Jackson and select our terminals, I think we'll want to... Well, I guess it doesn't matter which terminal it comes into, so we can leave it all the same. But let's double check our Downey line and make sure that one's going to the right set of tracks. And this one is. So while we have this selected, like I mentioned, our train going out to Downey can also be another high-speed train. So we'll replace these. So I think the train that we're going to use is going to be this Shinkansen E2, which is one that we've downloaded from the workshop. This one has a pretty good top speed for these multiple unit trains at 171, and I believe it's one of the fastest accelerating ones, as this one can get up to top speed in about 3 minutes, where I believe all these other ones take anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes. So I think this might be our best option. If we can compare it to capacity, it's about the same and everything else. Although it says there's no electric path, so I think that might be the track heading to Downey. Yeah, so it's just this small switch here that needs upgraded, and then we should be able to come back and upgrade that other train. Alright, so now that that's done, we could probably just sell this one and then duplicate it. And now if we find this train, we can see this one coming into Jackson, looking very nice, very high-speed train. We'll come back and watch it at its full top speed on the return trip, but I think we will leave our train going to San Jose as the current engine that it's running with. So here's one of those trains now. It's getting pretty close to its top speed. We can follow it all the way to San Jose as it reaches its top speed. This one is carrying a full load of passengers, and looking at its finances, it's doing pretty well considering. If we take a look at the line as a whole, the line as a whole is doing very well for us. It's getting us about 20 to 40 million per period. And I believe if we check this train now, it's very close to top speed. So I think this high-speed line is pretty much a success. Of course, it'll be more beneficial once we can sort of get one of these running from San Jose all the way to Birmingham for those all the way across the map lines. But I believe this one did reach its top speed, 174, for just a little bit before it got there. So I'll say that's a pretty good improvement in this area. And then here's one of those other new engines that we added in, the Shinkansen E2. This one's pretty much at top speed, although it looks like it has to slow down for this merge. So maybe we'll come back in here and see if we can smooth that out a bit more so it doesn't slow down, because otherwise it'd be flying through here at full speed until it got to Downey. So let's just take a look here. See if this curve as a whole slows it down. So it looks like it's top speed all the way until we get to this little curve right in here. So let's delete these tracks back even more. We'll pull this over. I think the curve coming into the tracks is pretty rough still. So interestingly, I don't think we'll be able to get a very smooth curve out of here, which is odd. It looks like the shallowest we could go is about 161 on the curve. I think I might just try to do our build with collisions and just build this anyway. Hopefully that keeps the pathfinding with the trains. Hopefully that doesn't really mess that up when we do this. But I believe we should be able to, once we switch this to dirt or maybe just a concrete bridge coming through here. Or I guess we could have just had it flipped to actually go with the terrain. But coming into here, this keeps it at its top speed of 186 miles an hour. And I believe we're coming in shallow enough to connect up seamlessly there. So we'll build this segment. And then right here where we get this collision issue, we'll just hit build anyway. Although that looks like it might have been a mistake. We'll come off this way first. Do this, hit build anyway. And then we just have to find where that switch is. Right here. And of course that's going to give us more issues. So that connects up. I'm not sure if building with collisions connects these tracks properly. I guess we'll have to see when we finally connect this up. But now we should be able to drag this over. That stays at 186 miles an hour. And then coming across here, this should also stay at top speed until there. And so with our signals in here, it looks like we aren't getting any warnings or pop-ups, so that's good. And then while we let those trains go, looking back here, it looks like traffic is much more clearer in this area. It looks like a lot of our truck traffic cleared out here as well. We have a couple of buses over here, but I think that's just them waiting for their stops. So I think we have the traffic problem handled pretty well in this area now. If we take a look, there's not really many areas where there's a lot of traffic besides the areas we identified right here for some reason. And then this intersection, which still is of course going to be one of our busiest roads. But then lastly, coming to our construction materials plant, I want to take a look at our lines here, and we had some very helpful and friendly people in the comments explain this rate number to me, and we can use this to ensure that our trucks, at least on these single resource lines, are almost guaranteed to leave full. So if we come over to this quarry, this one's producing 400, and it's actually about to level up, so maybe we don't have to do anything with this line or these trucks, but we can see this rate of 545, which is pretty much the same number as this production number. So when this upgrades, it'll probably go higher because of demand, but our trucks will only be carrying 525 out of the 800 once this upgrades. So that means over here at this construction materials plant, it should be getting that much stone. If I'm reading this properly, if I'm not, please let me know. I think this number is going to be going up and down for a bit as our trucks aren't really consistent on this line. You can see there's almost no trucks making the return trip at the moment. So This number will probably fluctuate up and down as the demand comes in and out. Hopefully these trucks will start to space themselves out. If we need to, we can just flip a few every now and then. Like, we could probably just flip this one. It's hardly even full anyway, but that'll give us a more consistent flow of stone into the construction materials plant. But then where I'm going with this is the construction materials to the cargo hub. Because this industry is a one-to-one for stone to construction materials, our rate for this line should be as close as possible to the stone coming in. So this one's $4.89 compared to this line, which is $5.43. I think it's fluctuating a bit from traffic and other numbers updating, but we want these two numbers to be as close as possible so that our construction materials trucks are always leaving full and we don't get a huge backup at the station. So it looks like if we just duplicate one vehicle, that updates to 530, and I think that's probably about as close as we're going to get with these trucks. So of course, as I said, it's probably going to come and go, the resources, especially since this quarry is still upgrading, but it looks like it's fully upgraded now. So these trucks should start leaving full. The construction materials, once everything starts flowing, these trucks should also be leaving full. And then once everything's sort of reached equilibrium, what we should see is construction materials slowly building up here, since our construction material line rate is slightly lower than our stone truck line rate. Now again, if I have that wrong, please correct me in the comments, but that is what I understand from the comments I've received and my current understanding of the rate. Alright, so anyway, that's all that we're going to do in this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.